there are more calls pouring in for banks to impose a temporary freeze on all home foreclosures here in the United States. At least 40 state attorneys general are now investigating whether lenders used false data to improperly speed the eviction process. The banks, even the White House, oppose a total freeze. They say it would backfire and actually hurt the housing market. Steve Bartlett's joining us now. He's one of Wall Street's top lobbyists in Washington. He's the president and CEO of the Financial Services Roundtable. Steve, welcome here to InBusiness. With these states' attorneys general now getting involved here, this call for a national moratorium, I mean, what's the potential here? Talk to me about the political risk and the degree to which you believe fraud is actually involved.
Well, there's no instance of fraud. That's not even close. And I think the state AGs, with their sort of frantic attempt, apparently, to try to get in on the action, is just making things worse. This is a classic case of process over substance. The substance is that in all cases, these are people who couldn't pay their mortgage and who couldn't even qualify for a reduced mortgage, which we offer and have done millions of times. The process, in some cases, the affidavit was filled out in the wrong way. In other cases, there was an assignment on the back end. The process can be handled, but these calls for moratorium just make things worse, put more houses vacant on the market as an overhang, and make it longer for the recovery to start. So I think the state AGs need to take a breath, kind of step back a little bit and get a grip.
Well, obviously, this is a heated political environment. We're staring down November the 2nd, but at the same time, we are seeing financial firms do just that, hit the pause button. Bank of America's doing it, JP Morgan's doing it, Ally Financial's doing it here. So talk to me here about the potential for this truly to continue to be an issue past November the 2nd.
Well, I think as companies review how much work they have to do in getting the back office process right, and remember, that's only the process. That has nothing to do with the substance as to whether someone can pay their mortgage or not. But as they do that, some companies have then put a hold while they review the files. But after they review the files, or more appropriately, as they review the files, then they need to process the foreclosures if the foreclosure is the last resort. Nobody likes a foreclosure, but the one thing worse than a foreclosure is leaving that house sitting there vacant, a pall on the whole neighborhood for years and years. So I think the companies are doing the right thing. The state AGs, with this sort of blunt instrument of making all kinds of accusations that are totally unsupportable, is just, and then asking for a moratorium, which all economists would say would be just a disaster.
But Steve, according to the Wall Street Journal, it's not just the state AGs. You know, the White House and David Axelrod has said don't have this national moratorium. It'll hurt things overall. But according to the Journal, Fannie and Freddie are in there picking up the phone and talking to banks and saying specifically to Bank of America, even after B of A had audited 23 states, please halt this in all 50. So who's calling for this? Sure.
Well, first of all, I commend the White House. 4 different officials at the White House have tried to get things calmed down a bit. David Axelrod, David Stevens of FHA, Sean Donovan of HUD, and the White House is saying, calm down, get the process right, but don't put a foreclosure in place. So Fannie and Freddie really have the same interest as the banks. You have to get the mortgages taken care of. If you can modify them, let's modify them. If you can't, then the homeowner, if they can't pay the mortgage, they need to lose the house, and they're going to lose the house. And delaying it doesn't help anyone. So I'm not sure what the conversations were between Fannie and Freddie and Bank of America, but I am sure of this. At the end of the day, they're on the same side to try to get the housing market stabilized and things back on an even keel. And so I would hope and believe that they'll get on the same side of the table to get that done.
We'll talk to you about the conversations that are taking place about broader financial reform. Are we going to see DoddFrank tweaked after November 2nd if we see a Republican majority?
Well, not during the lame duck, I don't think. But I think in the next session of Congress, there will be a number of items in Dodd-Frank that Congress will want to think about. Whether they change it or not, I don't know. There are some technical corrections that, with the credit rating agencies and such, that for certain have to be done. How much tweaking will be done, time will tell. I think that Congress and the administration will just need to sort of step back, take a look at what they've done, and make corrections as they're called for. It's too early to be figuring out what those are, but it was a 2,300-page bill, so I would assume that there are some things that need to be adjusted, and probably will be.
All right, then that means we'll probably still keep talking. Thank you very much, Steve, for joining us this morning.